Mateusz Grochal, thank you so much for talking to us. We're just interested to know about how you became involved in hockey fives in Poland.
I believe it all started in 2014, where we first saw it in Nanjing at the Youth Olympic Games. And a year later, when EHF introduced it as under 16 competition format. So we had some internal talks in the federation about how can we implement it, how can we be competitive, and maybe in next 3 years qualify for the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires. So, but at the same time, we wanted to keep in mind that 11-a-side is our priority, and then how can we use hockey fives in order to achieve more than normally we would. So we started without the boards. In 2015, we had our first regional competition for under 16 teams. It was quite good because we had a lot of teams joining the competition. We divided the regular field into two, where we played without the boards. We added the scoring zone, and it was quite interesting because from that group, later on, we had some players that qualified for the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires. And later on, we also joined some test matches with Austria, with Switzerland. We adjusted our infrastructure in Olympic Center in Vauch. We bought the sideboards finally, and then we organized European Championship and it was called European Future Heroes Cup.
That's awesome. So you're pleased with the way that the sport is helping hockey within Poland?
Yeah. Well, being a coach and a true admirer of indoor hockey, I see some similarities, and I think of it as a small-sided game that can help to work on some things that are crucial in 11-a-side hockey. I see it as a nice tool for juniors, but also at the community level, it can be quite interesting as a simple format and something that can be quite accessible for someone who has not seen hockey before.
I think the accessibility factor is quite important, and it is great that you're seeing that's having an effect on the numbers of people who are playing the game in Poland.
Yeah, obviously due to the pandemic, it's a strange world we live in, but I think with hockey fives, the simplicity of it and how easy it can be explained for someone who has not seen hockey before, with very few rule limitations. Like in indoor hockey, you cannot lift the ball outside the circle, and for someone who has not such a technical level of skill, it can be quite limiting to compete. But the fact that the ball does not leave the field is also quite interesting, because in the total game time, the gameplay time, I think most of the time the ball is actually in action, where in other sports, well, I watched, I think, Super Bowl, and for the whole competition, I think there was 12 or 15 minutes of action, which was so strange for me. I mean, as a spectator, you want to see something that is action-packed, and I think hockey fives does it quite well.
That's great. So what do you love so much about hockey fives? I mean, and how do you see it developing as a global sport over the coming years?
I think, as I mentioned, the simplicity and the fact that it can be easily implemented. Like in Poland, we don't have that much access to good infrastructure. We get to use like small football fields and other venues that are easier to get to. I think the number of nations that, for example, in the first European Championship, that we had, I think, 16 or 20 teams participating, teams that you did not see before on the hockey map, and suddenly they're coming to Poland and competing, and it was really empowering to see, like Zambia, what they did in Nanjing, and later on what happened in Buenos Aires. think it's a great example for other nations.
You have mentioned the Youth Olympics already. You were the under-18 coach for Poland for the men's team in Buenos Aires, and Hockey 5 was unquestionably a big hit of the games. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Argentina?
Incredible. That was something that was not only for me but also for the players that were part of that group, something amazing. I think not only from the competitive, from the hockey point of view, but also as a cultural experience. The atmosphere that was there. I think for most of the games, the hockey venue was fully packed. I remember the games against India, Argentina, Australia. That was the Hockey 5 pitch is very small, and communication between the bench, between the coach and the players on the field should not be a problem. But with the venue so packed, that was impossible to get to each other. It was, yeah. Whenever I see those players from that group, we come back to those memories, and it's something I even find hard to describe. The culture, the spirit that was there. Yeah, it was amazing. I don't know what to say.
Well, you guys finished fifth in the competition, which was a terrific achievement. I think you beat Australia in the 5-6 playoff.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned that some of the other nations that are there, the likes of Zambia and Vanuatu and Mexico, and these are other nations that you played. I mean, how do you think that the Hockey Fives is helping those countries?
Well, I had obviously at those kind of events, you have quite often a chat between the coaches and the managers. And I had a chat with the coach from Vanuatu, who was an Australian guy, and how Hockey Fives became social had a social function in the area. How for those boys from Vanuatu, the trip to Buenos Aires, thanks to hockey, was possible. With Zambia and the project that was happening there together with the Hockey Dreams Foundation, the growth is happening, and it's thanks to Hockey Fives. I see nations from Georgia in Europe, from Georgia, from Malta, from Finland. It's something that is for a hockey geek, for a hockey nerd. It's empowering to see this happening.
So it's you think it's contributing to the global growth of hockey. I mean, clearly the focus is always on the 11-a-side game, but Hockey Fives has got a vital role to play in the global growth of hockey.
Yes, I do believe that. We have this thing in Poland where the clubs that normally play indoor outdoor are now signing up to play Hockey Fives, because it's much more accessible. We have parents interested in competing. As I said, it's quite easy to explain to someone. I like the new rule adjustments which are happening because of the scoring zone and the time the time of play. I think if you look at other sports, what's happening, I think Hockey Fives is the way to go to spread hockey worldwide.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mateusz. Really appreciate it.